We need fresh perspectives for our next launch, she explained during my termination. Someone who understands current market trends. My name is Tyler, 41 years old. Lead product designer at Arcform Outdoor Gear in Minneapolis for 7 years. Or at least I was until that Thursday morning when Elena called me into her office with Heather from Human Resources already seated beside her. I'd felt it coming for months, ever since Elena took over as creative director, bringing her glossy magazine aesthetic to our rugged outdoor brand. Everything I designed, practical, durable, built for actual mountains, suddenly wasn't forward-thinking enough. Your work lacks the innovation we need moving forward, Elena continued, sliding the termination papers toward me with perfectly manicured nails that had never gripped a climbing rope. I nodded, kept my face neutral. 7 years of my designs had built this company's reputation among serious outdoorsmen. The Pathfinder series backpacks were my creation. The modular jacket system that won 2 international design awards. Mine. But none of that mattered now. I thanked her for the feedback, packed my sketchbooks, unplugged my tablet, and walked out. What Elena didn't know, I'd been quietly developing a portfolio on my own time. Designs Arcform had rejected, claiming they were too experimental or not aligned with our demographic. Designs I still believed in. As I drove home, my phone buzzed with a text from Brian in product development. This place just made the biggest mistake of its corporate life. I learned design at my grandfather's workbench in Duluth. He made custom wooden canoes, teaching me how function determined form. No wasted space, no superfluous details, just purpose made physical. I carried that philosophy through design school and into my career. When I joined Arcform, they were struggling, good products with poor design execution. I rebuilt their entire aesthetic from the ground up. The CEO back then, James, understood what I was doing. Make stuff that works first, looks good second, he'd said. The people who actually use our gear will notice. He was right. Within 3 years, our sales had doubled. Outdoor enthusiasts trusted the brand because the product solved real problems. The Pathfinder backpack line balanced weight distribution so perfectly that professional guides specifically requested them for extended treks. The thermal shift jacket system adapted to temperature changes without adding bulk, award-winning innovation born from understanding actual needs. Then James retired. The company brought in Vivian as CEO, who hired Elena from the fashion industry to elevate the brand. Suddenly, meetings were about aesthetic direction rather than performance specs. My designs were questioned, then sidelined. The newer designers, mostly fresh graduates with digital portfolios but no field experience, started getting the prime projects. 3 months ago, I submitted concepts for our next generation of weatherproof gear. Elena dismissed them as uninspired. The following week, I saw her present remarkably similar concepts to the executive team, credited to Justin, her recent hire from a luxury brand. That night, I called Thomas, an old friend who'd moved to Ridgeline Supply, Arcform's biggest competitor, as their materials specialist. "How's your contract looking these days?" he asked after I explained the situation. "No non-compete," I replied. "James thought they were unethical." Thomas went quiet for a moment. "Interesting. Very interesting." The termination package was generous enough. 3 months' salary and extended benefits. Professional courtesy for 7 years of service. I signed the papers without argument and drove home in silence. My apartment felt different that afternoon. Smaller, yet somehow more open. I sat at my drafting table and spread out the sketches Elena had rejected over the past year. There were 12 collections in total, each one meticulously detailed, each solving specific problems for serious outdoor enthusiasts. Rain tapped against the window as I studied them. I'd been designing as if I still worked for the old Arcform, the one that valued function and durability. But that company didn't exist anymore. It had become something else, chasing trends instead of serving needs. My phone rang at 7 p.m. Melissa Hargrove, creative director at Ridgeline Supply. "Thomas mentioned you're available," she said without preamble. "Says you're the real talent behind Arcform's golden years." I said nothing, just waited. "Got anything worth looking at?" she continued. "We're planning our fall collection. Could use some fresh thinking." I looked down at my rejected concepts. I might have a few ideas. Send them over tonight. If they're good, we should talk. After we hung up, I spent 3 hours refining 6 designs, not changing the core concepts, just sharpening the presentations. At midnight, I emailed them to Melissa with simple notes explaining the functionality behind each one. Then I went to bed and slept better than I had in months. The next morning, I woke to an email from Melissa. My office, 10 a.m., bring your contract terms. I showered, dressed in my field jacket and boots rather than office clothes, and drove to Ridgeline's headquarters across town. The receptionist led me straight to Melissa's office, a space cluttered with material samples and prototype gear. Not sleek and minimal like Elena's. Melissa gestured to a corkboard where she'd pinned printouts of all 6 of my designs. These solve problems we've been chasing for 2 seasons, she said simply. Especially this one. She tapped the centerpiece of my collection, a modular weatherproof system that adapted to different conditions without sacrificing mobility. How soon can you start? She asked. I'm available now. She nodded once. Good. Because we're going to move fast on these. Very fast. For the first time since Elena arrived at Arcform, I smiled. 1 week into my new position at Ridgeline, I got a call from Peter, Arcform's production manager. We'd worked closely together for years, solving manufacturing challenges, finding the balance between innovative design and practical production. Tyler, this is unofficial, he said quietly. But things are falling apart. Justin's designs look good in renderings, but they're a nightmare to manufacture. Materials don't flex the way he thinks they should. The prototype backpacks are coming in 2 pounds heavier than specified. Not my problem anymore, I replied, though a part of me still cared. Elena's claiming you left the team without proper documentation on your production processes, Peter continued. She's telling executive leadership that you sabotaged the transition. That made me sit up straight. That's a lie. I know, but she's convincing. Vivian asked me if there was any merit to it. My blood ran cold. This wasn't just about moving on. Elena was actively undermining my professional reputation. Against my better judgment, I emailed Vivian requesting a meeting to clear the air. She agreed to coffee the next morning. The cafe was busy, which I thought would be good. Neutral territory, public place. Vivian arrived 10 minutes late, already looking at her watch. I'll be direct, I began. I've heard Elena is suggesting I deliberately left the team without proper documentation. That's not true. All my files are organized in the shared drive, and I personally trained Justin on my process before I left. Vivian nodded, her expression unreadable. She mentioned you might get defensive about this. Look, Tyler, the outdoor industry is small. I'd hate to see your reputation damaged by this unpleasantness. The threat was thinly veiled. Stay quiet or we'll make this difficult for you. I appreciate your concern, I said carefully. I'd hate for Arcform to waste production resources on designs that can't actually be manufactured effectively. Her eyes narrowed slightly. We'll manage our production challenges internally, thank you. I do hope you'll be discreet about company matters going forward. As she left, my phone buzzed with a text from Melissa. Contract's ready. We want to move fast on your weatherproof collection. I looked back at Vivian's retreating figure. She had no idea what was coming. 3 days later, I received a certified letter from Arcform's legal department. They were reviewing my employment history regarding potential confidentiality concerns. The letter carefully avoided making direct accusations, but implied I might have violated company policies. I showed it to Melissa, who immediately handed it to Ridgeline's legal team. Standard intimidation tactic, their counsel explained after reviewing it. They have no case. The designs you're creating for us are original, and you had no non-compete clause. They're trying to scare you into backing down. Should I respond? I asked. No, we'll handle it. That evening, the lawyer sent a simple, devastating reply to Arcform. We have extensive documentation of Mr. Graves's rejected designs while at your company, along with the dates they were submitted and subsequently dismissed. We would welcome the opportunity to compare those with your current product development timeline in court. 2 days passed with no further communication from Arcform. Then Peter called again. "What did you do?" he asked. Elena had a closed-door meeting with legal, and she came out looking like she'd seen a ghost. I said nothing. "Just watch your back," he warned. "She's not giving up." 2 days later, Thomas invited me to lunch. We met at a burger place downtown, far from both our company's headquarters. "You need to see this," he said, sliding his tablet across the table after ordering. It displayed Arcform's internal marketing brief for their fall collection. Somehow Thomas had gotten his hands on it. I scrolled through and stopped cold when I saw the mock-ups. They were my designs, the exact concepts Elena had rejected 6 months ago, now rebranded as the Elevation Series, with Justin's name listed as lead designer. "They're planning to launch in September," Thomas said quietly. "Full marketing push, they've already ordered materials." The realization hit like a physical blow. She rejected these designs knowing she'd use them later. She just didn't want me to get the credit. Thomas nodded. "Looks that way. But here's something else you should know." He took the tablet back, opening another document. "Ridgeline is planning to fast-track your collection. Melissa convinced the CEO to move up production. They can have your designs on the market by August." I sat back processing this. A month before Arcform launches. "Yes, and with proper attribution to you as designer." Thomas looked me straight in the eye. "But you need to decide now. Once production starts, there's no turning back." I didn't hesitate. "Let's do it." That evening, I called Melissa and formally accepted Ridgeline's accelerated timeline. The contract included something Arcform had never offered: royalties on each unit sold with my designs, plus creative control over the final production specifications. "We're calling it the Summit Series," Melissa explained, "and we want your name featured in the marketing." 2 days later, I signed the paperwork in Ridgeline's headquarters and handed over my complete design files, not just concepts, but detailed production specifications, material requirements, and manufacturing guidelines. When I got home, there was an email from Elena in my personal inbox. "Tyler, I hope this message finds you well. I was reviewing some of our upcoming designs and realized we might benefit from your expertise in a consulting capacity. Would you be open to discussing this?" I deleted it without responding. The following week, I toured Ridgeline's manufacturing facility with their production team. They'd never attempted anything like my modular system before. Components that worked independently but functioned best as a cohesive unit. The lead engineer, Diane, pulled me aside after the tour. "These designs are revolutionary," she said bluntly, "but they're also complex as hell to manufacture. If we're really hitting the August deadline, I need you in this facility every day." "Whatever it takes," I told her. For the next month, I worked 16-hour days. I slept on a cot in the facility office twice when we were testing waterproofing systems. The production team grew to respect me when they saw I understood the practical challenges they faced. Unlike Elena, I didn't dismiss manufacturing concerns as someone else's problem. Halfway through the process, I received another email from Vivian. "We should discuss your current activities for your own professional future." Another threat. Another attempt to control what they'd thrown away. I forwarded it to Ridgeline's legal team without comment and kept working. Ridgeline moved with astonishing speed. Within 3 weeks, they had prototypes of my weatherproof collection. I spent days in their workshop, fine-tuning details, working directly with their production team to ensure every specification was perfect. The Summit Series consisted of 5 interconnected products: a modular backpack, all-weather outerwear with removable components, adaptable footwear, ergonomic camping equipment, and specialized accessories. Each piece worked independently but functioned best as a system, something I'd been trying to get Arcform to understand for years. Melissa brought me into marketing meetings, something Elena had never done, and listened when I explained the practical benefits that should be highlighted. "These aren't fashion statements," I told their team. "They're tools for people who depend on their gear in extreme conditions." In late July, whispers started circulating in the industry. Retailers who'd gotten preview samples of the Summit Series were impressed. Online forums buzzed with speculation about Ridgeline's unexpected direction. Then came the call from Peter at Arcform. "Tyler, did you—" He stopped abruptly. "Never mind. I shouldn't be asking." "What's happening over there?" I asked, though I could guess. "Vivian saw Ridgeline's preview catalog," Peter said quietly. "The Summit series is remarkable. Elena is in full panic mode, claiming they stole concepts from us." I remained silent. "The thing is," Peter continued, "we both know these aren't stolen from Arcform's current concepts. They're your original designs, the ones Elena rejected, aren't they?" "I can't comment on that," I replied carefully. "You don't have to," Peter said. "Your name is on them, clear as day in the catalog. Designed by Tyler Graves, former lead designer at Arcform. It's brilliant." The following day, Vivian herself called. I let it go to voicemail. Her message was terse. "Tyler, this is unprofessional. We should discuss this situation immediately." Instead, I drove to Ridgeline's headquarters for the final product launch meeting. The marketing campaign was ready. The manufacturing lines were set. In 2 weeks, the Summit series would hit specialized retailers nationwide. 1 month ahead of Arcform's planned launch of the suspiciously similar Elevation series. The night before our launch, I couldn't sleep. 7 years at Arcform. Countless prototypes. Hundreds of sketches. All that work had led to this moment. Not the way I'd expected, but maybe the way it needed to happen. At 5 a.m., unable to rest, I drove to a trail outside the city. The same trail where I'd tested many of my early Arcform designs. Dawn was breaking as I hiked to the ridge. The air was cool and damp, exactly the conditions my weatherproof system was designed to handle. My phone buzzed. A text from Melissa. "It's live. Website just went up. First orders already coming in." I stood on that ridge watching the sunrise, feeling a strange mix of vindication and sadness. I hadn't wanted it to end this way with Arcform. I'd given that company everything, but they'd chosen Elena's vision over mine, style over substance. Now the market would decide which approach was right. By the time I hiked back to my car, I had 17 missed calls from unknown numbers. Outdoor journalists, industry bloggers, and gear reviewers all trying to get the story behind Ridgeline's surprising new collection. And one message from Elena: "You've made a serious mistake." I finally called her back. "No," I said when she answered. "You did." The Summit series launched on August 12th. By noon, Ridgeline's website had crashed twice from traffic volume. Their customer service lines were flooded with retailer calls trying to increase their orders. I watched it unfold from Melissa's office as outdoor magazines and gear reviewers published their advance reviews. Revolutionary. Game-changing. Sets a new standard. My name appeared in every article. 3 days after the launch, Outside Magazine ran a feature comparing the Summit series to leaked images of Arcform's upcoming Elevation series. The headline said it all. "Separated at birth, the curious case of 2 identical product lines." The article didn't explicitly accuse Arcform of theft, but it raised questions about the timeline, noting that I had designed both collections, though Arcform was crediting Justin for their version. Outdoor forums exploded with speculation. Industry insiders who knew me from trade shows connected the dots immediately. Social media filled with side-by-side comparisons and pointed questions about intellectual property. Vivian called again. This time I answered. "This is completely unacceptable," she began without greeting. "You've deliberately undermined our company." "I designed products for a company that hired me to do exactly that," I replied calmly. "Products you're now selling under someone else's name. We'll need to discuss legal options," she threatened. "That would be interesting," I said. "I have emails from Elena rejecting these exact designs 6 months ago. What would a court make of the fact that you're now producing them with someone else's name attached?" Silence stretched between us. "You should have valued what you had," I added quietly. "Good luck with your launch." The following week, Arcform announced they were postponing the release of their Elevation series for additional refinement. Industry analysts saw it for what it was, a retreat. By October, the Summit Series had broken all previous first-quarter sales records for Ridgeline. My royalty checks reflected this success, already exceeding my annual salary at Arcform. Melissa promoted me to design director, giving me a team of 6 designers and complete creative control over our next 3 seasonal collections. Thomas transferred from materials to join my department as technical advisor. Arcform eventually released a hastily redesigned collection that bore little resemblance to my work. The reviews were lukewarm. Their stock price dropped 8% the following quarter. I ran into Elena at an industry conference in Denver that winter. She was at the bar, alone, nursing a drink as I walked past. "Congratulations on your success," she said, stopping me. Her voice carried no warmth. I nodded but said nothing. "You could have stayed and fought for your designs," she added. "Why didn't you?" I considered this for a moment. Some places don't deserve the fight. She flinched slightly, then composed herself. "Vivian is stepping down next month. The board asked me to take over temporarily." I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. "Good luck," I said, and meant it. The industry needs strong companies. 6 months later, I received an unexpected package. It contained all my original sketchbooks from my time at Arcform, along with a handwritten note from Peter. "These belong to you. Elena's gone. Just thought you should know." I opened one book to a concept I'd drawn 3 years earlier, a modular tent system for extreme weather conditions. Something I'd never shown Elena. That evening, I called Melissa. "I have an idea for our winter collection," I said. The following spring, Ridgeline's stock value had doubled. Arcform announced they were restructuring under new leadership. I didn't follow the news too closely. I was too busy designing what came next. Sometimes at night I still think about my years at Arcform. Not with bitterness anymore, but with clarity. They taught me something valuable, just not what they intended. In this industry, in life, your work speaks for itself when given the chance. Elena tried to silence mine, but in doing so, she only amplified its voice. The best revenge wasn't in proving her wrong. It was in finally finding a place that recognized what I'd known all along. That good design isn't about following trends, it's about solving real problems for real people. And that, in the end, is what endures.